Hey there, viewer. Hi, hi, hi. Before we start this awesome story, I've got something cool to ask you. Grab your phone or your keyboard and tell me in the comments where are you watching from today. Are you at home? At school? Maybe outside on a swing? I wanna know. Oh, and if you love wild, crazy stories like the one I'm about to tell you, hit that big red subscribe button right now. That way, you won't miss any of the fun stuff coming next. Trust me, you're gonna want to stick around for this one, it's a wild ride. Okay, ready? Let's set the scene. Picture this in your head, it's a bright, sunny afternoon. The sky is blue, not a cloud in sight. You're in a little neighborhood where everything looks perfect. The grass is green and neat, like someone just mowed it. Birds are chirping tweet, 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 flying from tree to tree. The houses are all lined up nice and pretty, with flowers in the yards and maybe a little mailbox shaped like a dog or a bird. Everything feels calm and happy, like the kind of place where nothing big ever happens. It's so quiet you can hear the wind blowing soft and gentle. Sounds nice, right? Now, let's meet our guy Jake Miller. Jake's the star of this story, and he's new in town. He just moved into this little neighborhood, into a small house at the end of the street. His house isn't fancy or anything. It's got a tiny porch out front, a red door, and a little window where you can see inside if you peek. Jake's the kind of guy you might not notice at first. He's not super loud or flashy. He doesn't drive a big, shiny car or wear wild clothes. Nope, he's just Jake. A regular guy, or at least, that's what everyone thinks when they see him. Here's something cool about Jake's house, he's got this big wind chime hanging on his porch. You know what a wind chime is, right? It's like a bunch of metal tubes or sticks tied together, and when the wind blows, they bump into each other and make a sound. Jake's wind chime is special. It's not loud or annoying, it's soft, like a whisper. When the breeze hits it just right, it goes ting, 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 super quiet and pretty. Almost like it's telling a secret to the air. Most people who walk by Jake's house hear it and smile. Oh, that's nice, they say. Kids riding their bikes stop and listen for a second. Even the old lady next door, Mrs. Penny, says it makes her happy when she waters her flowers. Everyone loves Jake's wind chime, well, almost everyone. There's one person who hates it, and that's where the trouble starts. But we'll get to that in a minute. First, let's talk more about Jake. He's the new kid on the block, like I said. He moved in just a few weeks ago, and nobody knows much about him yet. He's pretty quiet, keeps to himself mostly. You might see him outside in the morning, pushing a lawnmower across his tiny yard. Vroom, 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 the mower hums as he cuts the grass nice and even. He waves at people when they walk by. Hey, good morning, he'll say, giving a little smile. The neighbors wave back, thinking, oh, he seems nice. Kids on scooters zip past, and he nods at them too. Everyone thinks Jake's just a regular guy trying to fit in. Maybe he's shy, they figure. Maybe he's just getting used to the new place. But here's the thing, they don't know the real Jake. Nope, not at all. See, Jake's got a secret. A big, huge, giant secret. Nobody in this perfect little neighborhood has any idea. Not the kids on their bikes, not Mrs. Penny with her flowers, not even the guy across the street who's always washing his car. Jake looks normal on the outside, short brown hair, a plain blue shirt, sneakers, but inside, he's hiding something. Something so big it's going to shake up this sleepy street like a thunderstorm on a sunny day. What is it? Oh, I can't tell you yet. That'd ruin the fun. But trust me, it's good. It's really good. You're gonna want to keep reading to find out what happens when that secret comes out. It's gonna be wild. Let's go back to that wind chime for a second, because it's important. Picture it hanging there on Jake's porch. It's made of shiny silver tubes, all different lengths, tied with string. When the wind blows, those tubes sway back and forth, bumping into each other. Ting, ting, ting. It's not loud like a car horn or a dog barking. It's soft, like someone whispering your name when you're half asleep. Jake loves that sound. Every morning, he steps outside with a cup of coffee, sits on his porch, and listens to it. He closes his eyes and smiles, like it's his favorite song. Nice day, he'll say to himself, sipping his coffee while the chime sings. The neighbors hear it too, and most of them think it's cool. That Jake guy's got a neat decoration, they say. Makes the street feel peaceful. But not everyone feels that way. Oh no. There's one person in this neighborhood who hears that wind chime and gets mad. Really, really mad. Her name's Karen Baxter, and she's about to make Jake's life a whole lot trickier. Karen lives 2 houses down from Jake. She's the kind of lady who's always watching everything. She's got sharp eyes and a loud voice, and she loves rules. Loves them. If your grass is too long, Karen knows. If your trash can's out past pickup day, Karen's on it. She's like the boss of the neighborhood, even though nobody asked her to be. And when she hears Jake's wind chime, she doesn't smile. She doesn't say, "Oh, that's nice." Nope. She frowns. She stomps her foot. She says, "That noise has got to go." Here's a big question for you, viewer. Stop and think about it for a second. Have you ever met someone who hates the tiniest things, like a wind chime, just because it's there? Maybe it's a kid at school who gets mad when you tap your pencil. Or a grown-up who yells about a dog barking one time. Tell me in the comments if you know someone like that. Because Karen? She's that person. That wind chime isn't hurting anybody. It's not loud. It's not ugly. But to Karen, it's the worst thing ever. And she's not gonna let it slide. Oh no, she's got plans. Big, loud, grumpy plans. Stick around, because this story's about to get crazy. Let's rewind a little and see how Jake settles in before Karen starts trouble. When he first moved in, he didn't make a big fuss. No moving trucks honking, no piles of boxes everywhere. Just Jake, carrying stuff in little by little. A chair one day, a lamp the next. Nobody paid much attention. New guy, they said, shrugging. Hope he's quiet. And Jake was quiet, super quiet. He didn't throw parties or blast music. He didn't even talk much. Just mowed his lawn, waved hello, and hung that wind chime. That's it? Simple, right? The neighbors started making up stories about him, though. That's what people do when they don't know you, they guess. Maybe he's a teacher, said Mrs. Penny, watering her roses. He looks smart. Nah, maybe he works at the store, said the car washing guy, scrubbing his hood. He's got that tired look. The kids thought he was a superhero in hiding. He's got a cape somewhere, they'd whisper, giggling as they rode by. But nobody asked Jake. They just watched him, waved back, and went on with their day. And Jake? He was fine with that. He didn't need them to know him, not yet. That wind chime, though, it started getting attention. Not big attention, just little bits. Mrs. Penny would walk by with her dog and say, "Oh, Jake, I love that sound." The mailman, dropping off letters, would nod and say, "Cool chime, man." Even the birds seemed to like it. They'd sit on the roof and chirp along. Jake would grin and say, "Thanks," every time. He didn't brag or anything, just kept it simple. But that soft ting, ting, ting was like a little hello from his house to the street. A friendly sound in a friendly place. Well, friendly for now. Because Karen was watching. Oh yes, she was. From her house 2 doors down, she'd peek out her window, arms crossed, lips tight. That wind chime? To her, it wasn't friendly. It wasn't pretty. It was trouble. Who does he think he is, she'd mutter, tapping her foot. New guy comes in, making noise like he owns the place. Noise. It was barely a sound. But Karen didn't care. She hated it from day one. And every day, that hate grew bigger. She'd stand on her porch, staring at Jake's house, planning. "I'll fix this," she'd say to herself. "Oh, I'll fix it." Jake didn't know it yet, but his quiet little life was about to get loud. Really loud. That wind chime? It was more than just a decoration. It was the start of something huge. And his secret? It was waiting, ready to pop out when nobody expected it. This sleepy street, with its perfect lawns and chirping birds, was about to turn upside down. How? Why? What's Jake hiding? You're gonna love finding out. It's coming soon, just keep reading. Let's paint the picture a little more, because I want you to feel like you're right there with Jake. Imagine walking down his street. The sun's shining, warm on your face. You smell fresh cut grass and flowers. You hear those birds tweet, tweet, and maybe a kid laughing somewhere. Jake's house is at the end, small and cozy. That wind chime swings a little, catching the light, sparkling like a treasure. You'd think, wow, this place is perfect. And it was, until Karen decided it wasn't. Jake's days were simple at first. Wake up, make coffee, mow the lawn if it needed it. He'd sit on his porch with a book sometimes, reading while the chime played its song. Ting, ting, ting. He didn't bother anybody. Didn't ask for much. Just lived his life. The neighbors liked him fine. He's quiet, they'd say. Doesn't cause trouble. Mrs. Penny even brought him cookies once, chocolate chip, still warm. Welcome to the street, she said, smiling big. Jake took the cookies and said, thanks, ma'am. That's real nice of you. She walked away happy, thinking he was a good guy. And he was. But he was more than that, too. Nobody saw it coming. Not Mrs. Penny, not the mailman, not the kids. Jake's secret was locked up tight, hidden behind that friendly wave and that little smile. What was it? Was he a spy? A hero? Something else? I won't spill it yet, it's too early. But I'll give you a hint, it's got something to do with why he wasn't scared of Karen. Nope, not one bit. While she was grumbling and plotting, Jake was calm. Too calm, maybe. Like he knew something she didn't. And he did. Oh, he did. So, viewer, what do you think so far? Are you hooked? Do you want to know what happens when Karen goes after that wind chime? Do you want to know Jake's secret? Tell me in the comments, guess what you think it is. I bet some of you will get close. But you won't know for sure until later. This story's about to get crazy, crazier than a roller coaster with no brakes. That wind chime's just the start. Karen's just the spark. And Jake? He's the fire waiting to light up everything. Stick with me, because this quiet neighborhood's about to explode with surprises. Jake Miller's not who he seems, and when the truth comes out, nobody's gonna believe it. Not Karen, not the neighbors, not even you until you see it happen. So keep reading, keep guessing, and let's find out together what's really going on with Jake and that whispering wind chime. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, so we've met Jake Miller, the new guy with the whispering wind chime on his porch. Everything's been pretty calm so far, right? The neighborhood's quiet, the birds are chirping, and Jake's just doing his thing. But now, it's time for trouble to show up. And that trouble has a name, Karen Baxter. Oh boy, Karen's not like the other neighbors. Nope, she's special in a loud, grumpy kind of way. She's the neighborhood HOA queen. HOA stands for Homeowners Association, which is like a group that makes rules for the street. And Karen? She loves those rules more than anything. Picture Karen in your head. She's a lady with short hair, always wearing a frown, and carrying a big clipboard. That clipboard's her weapon. She writes down every little thing she doesn't like. You know the type of person, right? Always watching, always complaining, always acting like they're the boss of everything. If your bike's parked wrong, Karen knows. If your dog barks once, Karen's there with her pen, scribbling a note. She's like a hawk, circling the neighborhood, looking for something to pounce on. And guess what she pounces on? Jake's wind chime. Yep, that soft, pretty ting, ting, ting that everyone else loves. To Karen, it's not pretty. It's not nice. It's a crime. Let's set the scene. It's another sunny day. Jake's outside, maybe sweeping his porch with a broom. Swish, swish, swish. The wind chime's hanging there, swaying in the breeze, making its little song. Ting, ting, ting. Most people walking by smile when they hear it. Oh, that's so cool, they say, waving at Jake. He waves back, all friendly and chill. But then, here comes Karen. You can hear her before you see her, her shoes stomping on the sidewalk, thump, thump, thump. She's got that clipboard tucked under her arm, her eyes narrowed like she's hunting for trouble. And when she gets close to Jake's house, oh, she stops dead in her tracks. That thing, she yells, pointing at the wind chime like it's a monster. That thing's disturbing the peace. Her voice is loud, so loud the birds stop chirping for a second. Jake looks up from his sweeping, broom in hand, and tilts his head. Huh, he says, like he's not sure what she means. Karen stomps closer, right up to his porch, her face all red and mad. You heard me, she shouts. That noisy junk is ruining this neighborhood. Take it down right now. She's waving her clipboard around, like it's proof she's right. Now, Jake. He's not the yelling type. He doesn't get mad or shout back. Nope. He just smiles a little, tiny smile and says, it's only a chime, ma'am. His voice is calm, soft, like the wind chime itself. He's not trying to fight. He's not trying to be mean. He's just standing there, looking at Karen like she's making a big deal out of nothing. And really, she is. That chime's not loud. It's not banging or crashing. It's just ting, 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 barely a sound at all. But Karen? Oh, she's not having it? Not one bit. She glares at him, her eyes big and angry, like he's just ruined her whole day. Only a chime, she snaps. Only a chime. New people always think they can break the rules. She's muttering now, talking to herself but loud enough for Jake to hear. Coming in here, making noise, acting like they own the place. She scribbles something on her clipboard, probably a note about Jake and his awful wind chime. Then she points at him again. You better fix this, or else, she says, before turning around and stomping off, thump, 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 back to her house. Jake watches her go. He doesn't say anything else. He just stands there, broom in hand, that little smile still on his face. Then he nods, like he's saying okay to nobody, and goes back inside his house. The door shuts with a quiet click, and the wind chime keeps singing its soft song. Ting, ting, ting. Karen's gone for now, but you can bet she's not done. Oh no, she's just getting started. That wind chime's her enemy, and she's ready to fight it with everything she's got. But here's the thing, she has no idea who she's messing with. Nope, not a clue. Let's talk about that for a second. Jake didn't argue with Karen. He didn't yell back or tell her she's wrong. He just smiled and let her huff away. Why? Why didn't he get mad? Most people would, right? If someone came up to your house and shouted about something you liked, you might say, hey, leave me alone. But Jake? He's different. Every time Karen snaps at him, something happens. It's small, so small you might miss it if you're not looking close. His eyes, they flicker. Just for a second, like a tiny spark of light. Was he mad? Was he planning something? Or was he just waiting? You'll find out soon, I promise. But that flicker? It's a hint. A big, sneaky hint that Jake's not as simple as he looks. Karen doesn't see it, though. She's too busy being mad. She storms back to her house 2 doors down from Jake's and slams her door shut. Bang. Inside, she's pacing around, muttering to herself. That chime's got to go, she says, tapping her clipboard with her pen. I'll make him take it down. I'll show him. She's like a volcano, bubbling up with grumpiness, ready to explode. To her, Jake's just some new guy who doesn't know the rules. She thinks he's weak, quiet, easy to boss around. But she's wrong. So wrong. And that's what makes the story fun. She's picking a fight with someone she doesn't understand. Let's rewind a bit and see how this all started. It's been a few days since Jake moved in. At first, Karen didn't care about him. She saw him mowing his lawn, waved once, and that was it. But then she heard the wind chime. It was a windy afternoon, and the ting, ting, ting floated down the street. Most people smiled. Not Karen. She poked her head out her window, frowning. What's that noise? She said to herself. She stepped outside, listened harder, and followed the sound right to Jake's porch. That's when she saw it, the shiny silver tube swaying in the breeze. And that's when she decided, she hated it. The next day, she marched over to Jake's house for the first time. He was outside, watering his grass with a hose. Splash, splash. The wind chime was doing its thing, ting, ting, ting. Karen walked up, hands on her hips, and said, that thing's too loud. Jake turned off the hose and looked at her. It's not loud, he said, nice and calm. It's just a chime. But Karen shook her head. It's bothering me, she said. Take it down. Jake shrugged. I like it, he said, simple as that. Then he went back to watering. Karen stood there, shocked. Nobody ever ignored her like that. She huffed and walked away, but you could tell she was mad. Really mad. That was just the beginning. Every day after that, Karen found a reason to complain. One morning, Jake was sipping coffee on his porch. Ting, ting, ting went the chime. Karen stormed over. It's too early for that noise, she yelled. Jake smiled. It's only a chime, ma'am. Another time, he was fixing his mailbox, hammering a nail. Tap, tap, tap. The chime was singing too. Karen showed up with her clipboard. That thing's driving me crazy, she shouted. Jake nodded. Sorry you feel that way, he said, and kept hammering. Every time, he stayed calm. Every time, Karen got madder. The neighbors started noticing. Mrs. Penny, the old lady with the flowers, saw Karen yelling one day. Oh dear, she said to herself, watering her roses. That poor Jake. The guy across the street, washing his car, shook his head. She's at it again, he muttered, scrubbing his hood. Even the kids on their bikes slowed down to watch. Why's she so mad? One asked. It's just a chime, said another. They were right, it was just a chime. But to Karen, it was war. And she was ready to fight. Here's where it gets fun. Karen didn't know it, but Jake wasn't scared of her. Not even a little. Every time she yelled, he'd just smile and go inside. Every time she glared, his eyes would flicker just for a second. What was that flicker? Was he laughing inside? Was he planning something big? Or was he waiting for the perfect moment? Karen thought she was winning. She thought Jake was weak, quiet, easy to push around. But she didn't see that flicker. She didn't see the secret hiding behind his smile. And that secret? It's gonna change everything. Let's stretch this out a bit more, because I want you to feel the tension building. Imagine Karen sitting in her house after one of those fights. She's at her kitchen table, clipboard in front of her, writing a list. Day 5, she writes. Wind chime still up. Rude new guy won't listen. She's steaming, her pen digging into the paper. I'll fix him, she says out loud. I'll make him sorry. She's got plans, big plans. Maybe she'll call a meeting with the HOA. Maybe she'll write a letter to everyone on the street. Maybe she'll even call someone bigger, like the police. Oh yes, Karen's not playing around. She wants that chime gone, and she wants it gone now. Meanwhile, Jake's at his house, cool as can be. He's sitting on his porch again, listening to the ting, ting, ting. The sun's setting now, painting the sky orange and pink. He's got a glass of water in his hand, sipping slow. Karen's yelling doesn't bother him. Her glares don't scare him. He's just waiting. For what? You don't know yet, but you will. That flicker in his eyes, it's there again. Small, quick, gone in a flash. He's not mad. He's not sad. He's something else. Something Karen can't figure out. And that's what makes her so mad she can't control him. The street's quiet now, except for that chime. Ting, ting, ting. The neighbors are inside, eating dinner, watching TV. Mrs. Penny's feeding her dog. The car guy's polishing his tires. The kids are doing homework or pretending to. Nobody knows what's coming. Nobody knows the storm that's brewing between Jake and Karen. She thinks she's the queen, the boss, the ruler of the rules. But Jake? He's got something up his sleeve. Something she'll never see coming. So what's next? Will Karen win? Will she get that chime taken down? Or will Jake's secret come out and turn everything upside down? You'll find out soon, I promise. This tension's building, slow and steady, like a balloon filling up with air. It's gonna pop, and when it does, it'll be big. Really big. Karen's got no idea who she's messing with, and that's the best part. Jake's calm, quiet, smiling face? It's hiding something awesome. Stick around, because this neighborhood's about to get wild. Alright, So things are heating up now. Weeks went by after Karen first yelled at Jake about his wind chime. You'd think she'd get tired of complaining, right? Nope. Karen didn't just stay mad, she got worse. Way worse. She turned into a storm of grumpiness, stomping around the neighborhood like she owned it. That wind chime, the one that went ting, ting, ting so soft and pretty. To her, it was like a monster roaring in her ears. She couldn't stand it, and she wasn't gonna let Jake forget it. At first, it was just yelling. She'd march up to his porch with her clipboard, shouting stuff like, "That thing's gotta go." Jake would just smile and say, "It's only a chime, ma'am," all calm and cool. But that didn't stop Karen. Oh no. She started getting sneakier, meaner, louder. One day, she decided yelling wasn't enough. She grabbed a piece of paper, scribbled a nasty note, and stuck it right on Jake's front door. "Take that junk down or else," it said in big, angry letters. Jake found it when he got home, pulled it off the door, and read it. He didn't frown. He didn't get mad. He just shook his head a little, like it was no big deal, and tossed the note in the trash. But Karen wasn't done. Not even close. The next day, she left another note. "This is your last warning," it said. Then another one the day after that, "Stop that noise now." Pretty soon, Jake's door was covered in little pieces of paper, all yelling at him in Karen's messy handwriting. The neighbors saw it happening. Mrs. Penny, the nice old lady with the flowers, peeked over her fence one morning. "Oh my," she whispered, watching Karen tape up another note. "She's really mad." The guy across the street, washing his car, saw it too. "That lady's crazy," he muttered, scrubbing his hood. Even the kids riding bikes slowed down to look. "Why's she leaving all those papers?" one asked. "She hates his chime," said another, giggling. Jake. He didn't say much. Every time he found a note, he'd pull it down, read it, and throw it away. No yelling, no fighting, just quiet. But here's the thing, he didn't take the wind chime down. Nope. It stayed right there, hanging on his porch, singing its soft song in the breeze. Ting, ting, ting. That made Karen even madder. She thought he'd give up, take it down, say sorry. But Jake didn't. He just kept living his life, mowing his lawn, sipping his coffee, letting that chime ring. Why didn't he take it down? Was he stubborn? Did he like making her mad? Or was there something else going on? Keep reading, you'll see. Then, Karen went bigger. One afternoon, she didn't just leave a note, she banged on Jake's window. Bang, bang, bang. It was loud, like she was trying to break the glass. Jake was inside, maybe reading a book or eating a sandwich. He jumped a little, surprised, and went to see what was up. There was Karen, standing outside, her face all red and puffy. "Noise violations," she shouted, pointing at the wind chime. "That thing's breaking the rules, and I'm not gonna take it anymore." Her voice was so loud it bounced down the street. Jake opened his door and stepped out. "It's not that loud," he said, nice and easy. "Just a chime." Karen didn't care. She banged the window again, bang, and yelled some more. "It's driving me crazy. Take it down, or you'll be sorry." Then she turned and stomped off, muttering to herself about rude new people. Jake watched her go, arms crossed, that little smile on his face again. His eyes flickered just for a second like they always did when she got mad. The neighbors saw the whole thing. Mrs. Penny shook her head. "Poor Jake," she whispered. "He's too nice to fight back." The car guy nodded. "Yeah, she's picking on him for nothing." The kids giggled from their bikes. "She's so loud," one said. "He's chill," said another. But here's the secret, Jake wasn't just sitting there. Oh no. He wasn't just letting Karen yell and bang and leave notes. He was doing something quiet, something sneaky. Every day, after she'd storm off, he'd step out onto his porch. He'd stand there, staring at that wind chime as it swayed in the breeze. Ting, ting, ting. The silver tubes sparkled in the sun, making little flashes of light. Jake would look at it, real close, like it was talking to him. And sometimes, only sometimes, he'd mutter to himself. His lips would move, super quiet, Too soft for anyone to hear. What was he saying? Was he talking to the chime? To himself? To someone else? Nobody knew. The neighbors didn't see it. Karen didn't see it. But it happened, and it was a clue. A tiny, sneaky clue about Jake. Let's zoom in on that for a bit. Picture Jake on his porch. It's late afternoon, the sun's going down, turning the sky all orange and pink. The wind's blowing, soft and cool. Ting, ting, ting goes the chime. Jake's standing there, hands in his pockets, staring at it. His brown hair moves a little in the breeze. His blue shirt flaps just a tiny bit. He's quiet, still, like a statue. Then his lips move. He mumbles, so low it's almost nothing. He nods, like he's agreeing with something. Then he turns and goes inside. What was that? Why didn't he just take the chime down and make Karen happy? Was he planning something? Waiting for something? Oh, you're gonna love finding out. Weeks kept going, and Karen kept getting worse. She'd walk by Jake's house every day now, glaring at that chime like it was her worst enemy. Sometimes she'd stop and shake her fist at it. You won't win, she'd yell. Other times, she'd write more notes and stick them everywhere: his door, his mailbox, even his porch steps. Take it down. Stop the noise. Last chance. Jake found them all, pulled them off, tossed them out. He didn't get mad. He didn't yell back. He just kept that chime up, letting it sing. Ting, ting, ting. The neighbors started talking more. She's nuts, the car guy said one day, polishing his tires. He's not hurting anyone, Mrs. Penny agreed, petting her dog. Why doesn't he fight? A kid asked, riding by. He's too nice, another answered. But Jake wasn't just being nice. Nope. He was watching. Every time Karen came by, he'd peek out his window or step onto his porch. He'd see her stomping, hear her yelling, watch her scribble those notes. And every time, his eyes would flicker. That little spark again, quick, small, gone fast. Was he laughing inside? Was he mad but hiding it? Or was he waiting for the perfect moment? Karen thought he was weak. She thought he was scared. But she was wrong. Jake wasn't scared.